everyone. Welcome to day number 18 of 21. Thank you so much for joining us, for joining me, for being a part of this wonderful journey. And I say us because there are so many of you who have been writing and telling me that you're a part of this journey. And I have to include you because you're also doing this thing here with me. And to all the new subscribers, I cannot believe it. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being a part. I hope these videos bless your life. And we are 3 subscribers away from hitting 200. And I did not even think that that was going to happen. Honestly, I am blown away. Thank you so much. I am so grateful. And today, I want to dedicate this to everyone that is doing this journey, and to those of you who perhaps are going to join this journey even after these 21 days. Like I've been mentioning to you, this journey to get closer to God, to hear God for the next phase or season of my life was very important to me, because I believe that He wants to start doing things right now, not in 2020, but right now. And can I tell you that He has done that? I have shared with you so many things on the day-to-day that He has said to me, that He has opened my eyes to, that He has revealed. And this is why I worship Him. This is why I have dedicated my life to Him, because it's been absolutely amazing. So tomorrow, as of tomorrow, we're going to have 3 more days of these 21, and then after that a new journey begins, and I hope you stay tuned for that one as well. Today's nugget has to do with part of my regimen and what I have done in these 21 days, and why I believe God has moved in such a supernatural way. When I came to the Lord back when I was 17 years old, I began to read the Bible on my own, and in that Bible that I just started reading through the stories of Jesus, because after all, He is who I wanted to get to know. And there was one story that really blew me away, and you find it in Mark chapter 9, and I'm going to read you 2 verses. Let's read verses 28 and 29. Now, some of you have been asking me about my Bible. This is, like I said, you could see that it's all written in and so forth, but I have this New Living Translation. I've had this Bible for the last 7 years. I absolutely love it. This was like $7.99. I've been wanting to get into another translation and rereading the Bible all over again. So what translation do you read? By the way, there is this new translation that I found called the Passion. It's phenomenal. So if I find a Bible like this, I like this because I could travel with it, I'm going to pick that one up, and maybe that'll be the next translation that I read the Bible all the way through. But let's go to Mark chapter 9, verses 28 and 29. Says, afterward, when Jesus was alone in the house with His disciples, they asked Him, why couldn't we cast out that evil spirit? Jesus replied, this kind can be cast out only by prayer and fasting. This kind can only be casted out by prayer and fasting. Throughout these 21 days, I've shared with you the things that I am doing to be intentional, to drown out every voice, to get closer to God. And getting closer to God, I have felt Him fulfilling His word, Him getting closer to me, Him opening up my eyes, Him opening up my ears, my heart, to things that I did not know, to things that I was afraid of. So much has happened. And part of the regimen has been, of course, getting up, praying, reading the scriptures, reading a Bible plan or a devotional, worshiping, making sure that my worship music was on at all times, first thing in the morning, before opening up social media, before anything else. It was worship. It was going into His presence. And also, instead of filling my mind with all this entertainment, I made sure that I was now watching sermons, hearing podcasts, and reading books according to where God was taking me on this journey. And I've mentioned all those to you, but I didn't mention that at the same time I was fasting. Now, I want to kind of wrap up what fasting means to me. I'm making this very personal, and I need you to understand that this is what it means to me, what it's done for me. And I hope that it blesses your life, and that for the next 3 days, day 19, 20, and 21, that you will join me on these fasting days. Now, like I told you, when I was 17 and I gave my life to the Lord and I started reading the Gospels, I came across this story where a father is bringing his child, his boy who is possessed by an evil spirit, who is overcome by an evil spirit, and he brings him to the disciples of Jesus and he says, "Help my boy, deliver him, set him free from this." And the disciples prayed and did all they could, but the spirit did not come out. So then the man goes to Jesus and tells him, "I brought him to the ones that are following you. I brought him to the ones that are with you. I brought him to the ones that you've been walking with and teaching, and they couldn't do anything. So have mercy, and if you can, deliver my son." And I love it because Jesus came back with the only retort, and he was like, "What do you mean, if I can?" Come on, Jesus. Come on, you got to know what's inside of you. You can't be letting people bully you around. He was like, "What do you mean, if you can? How about everything is possible? Anything is possible if you believe." So Jesus kicked it right back to him and said, the problem is not if I can. The problem is your faith. So after, of course, Jesus speaks into the boy and sets him free, and he's delivered from everything that's holding him back. The disciples then later on have a conversation with him, and Jesus did not rebuke him. Jesus did not rebuke them. He did not scold them. Jesus listened to them, and they said, "What happened? We did everything. Why couldn't we cast this thing out?" And Jesus simply said to them, "Because these type or this kind of thing doesn't come out unless with prayer and fasting." And let me tell you what that did to me back then. When I read that, I said, "Lord, I do not want to be a follower without your power." I felt at that time, and I feel today, that if I'm going to preach this gospel, if I'm going to represent my Christ, then I want people to know that he is fully capable of doing the things that are written in scripture. He could do them right now, because that will bring glory to his name, because then those that deny him will not stand a chance in their unbelief. So when I read that, I said, so prayer is not enough. I want what this Jesus of mine is talking about. I don't want to face anything that the enemy's going to bring my way and not stand a chance to defeat him. So ever since then, I adapted a lifestyle of prayer and fasting. And that is today's nugget for the day. This is how I see that fasting is beneficial for me. I feel that the less and less I am putting inside of this body, this flesh, of the things that it desires, the more room it has in these 21 days to be filled with the Spirit. The Bible says in Galatians chapter 5 that the spirit and the flesh are at war every day. So for these days, if I could just focus in on God. See, because if your focus is going to be on, man, I'm really hungry, I can't do this, I miss my, my coffee, I miss my this, I miss my burger, then your focus is in the wrong place. Then your flesh is fully at beast mode. So it is important that you do not focus on the food. That's why many times it's hard for people to fast, because instead of their focus being on spiritual things, it's on the physical things, and it defeats the purpose. So on these days, as I am dedicating them to the Lord, as I am looking for clarity from God, as I am seeking His heart for what is to come, I don't have time to focus on the things that I'm not eating. Since that time that I read that, and it's been over 20 years, every time I feel the need that God is calling me to an intimacy with Him, I decide to pick up fasting. And last weekend while I was in California, someone asked me about what it means to fast and if I could talk about it on here, because some people may not know. And you know what? I thought that that was a great idea. In these 21 days, I'm just going to give you an example of how I was able to plan out my fast. Usually the first 3 days that I start any fast, I like to start with a full fast, meaning from day to night, I do not take anything in unless it's just water. After those 3 days, then I start a 6 to 6 fast. It's exactly what it says. I get up at 6 and then I have my first meal at 6 p.m. So from 6 in the morning to 6 p.m., I pray, I worship, I read, I watch, and at 6 p.m., I have my meal for the day, and it starts over the next day. After those days, I will then have the next couple of days where I'll do a partial fast. And the partial fast is where I pick certain things that I will not eat. And they have to be things that I enjoy. I'm going to give up these things as a sacrifice to what my flesh desires, to what my flesh yearns for more of your spirit. So on the partial fast, for me, I love sweets, I love cakes, I love baked goods, I love home foods, I love rice, I love bread. So for me on these days, I tend to have more of a vegan diet where I also do not consume any kind of sugars. So it would be water and a lot of fruits and vegetables, no meats, no dairies, no white carbs, things of that nature. And I try to eat as clean as possible. And then to close up my fast, I will close it up with the last 3 days being a liquid fast. So on that liquid fast, anything that is a broth, is a soup, any shake, and when I mean shake, I mean like a smoothie that is on the more healthier side is what I'll take. Any natural juices. So at the end of my fast, I like to close up with that. Fasting is possible. You can do this. So in these next 3 days, some of you who have never done a fast, I suggest that you give up one meal. Just give up one meal for the day and say, Lord, I'm going to hand you over this meal, whether it be breakfast or lunch or dinner. Or maybe that's too much for you. How about if you fast one thing in the next 3 days? For example, if you are addicted to coffee and you feel like coffee is what sustains you, would you give up just your cup of coffee or your 2 or 3 cups of coffee in a day, just so that you can receive something from the Lord that you've never received before? Now, in the Bible, there's so many different reasons why people fasted. Like I said, mine comes strictly from Mark chapter 9. It really changed my life. And if you've known me, if you've known my ministry, you know that I do not go anywhere. I do not do anything. I do not plan for anything without a time of fast. So I know that this could be a very extensive conversation, but I did not want to overload you. I did not want to overwhelm you. Remember, a fast without prayer and seeking God is simply a diet. This is not keto's intermittent fasting. This is a spiritual journey, one where we get close to God, one where we're telling God, less of me, more of you. and we give him over the things that our flesh desires to see the spiritual things that he desires for us. So if you have any questions, please write them down below. I will answer them. Tomorrow I'm going to be at the airport for a whole 2 hours. I'm going to have some time. Please write down below, and I challenge you. If you weren't able to do it for the last 18 days, I challenge you. Fast with me for these last 3. Like I said, my last 3 will be liquid fast, and if you want to know what I'm having, maybe I'll put it on my Instagram. Check out my Instagram story. I'll put down all the things that I am going to be drinking or slurping on my day 19 through 21. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of this. Please know how much I truly am so appreciative of all your support, of just watching them, of your thumbs up, of your subscribing. It just means so much. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for day 19 tomorrow. God bless.